Happy Halloween, boys and ghouls! As you can see, I am deceased. Fortunately, I can still tell stories as a ghost, which is great because I have a scary tale for you today, involving possibly one of the scariest things to walk the earth, and that is a Karen! Halloween tradition ruined by entitled people. This happened over 10 years ago, so some of the dialogue may not be word for word, but it was the actions that are key to the story, so dialogue is not too important. My wife and I don't have any children. We were not able to have any due to health reasons, but we enjoy kids and used to live in a suburb which had many families with small children. Every year, we would go all out for Halloween for the local children. We probably have enough Halloween decorations and animatronics to supply a couple haunted houses. Like I said, we go all out. It's our favorite holiday, obviously, and we tried to do a different setup every year to keep the kids on their toes and dress up to hand out candy. Each year we would divide the decorations. In the backyard we had strobes, scary music, fog machines, and several animatronics. In the front yard we had some more tame decorations, with my wife dressed up, handing out candy for younger kids / kids too scared to come into the terrifying backyard. I had a huge candy dish set up, but I was hidden out of sight, controlling some of the effects and animatronics. We would do something extra special for the kids that were first to show up. One year it was king-size candy bars for the first 10 kids. Another year we gave candy and $1 coins. But this year we were feeling generous, so we decided to do $5 to the first 10 kids. My wife had 5, and I had 5. I chose to lay out 5 regular-sized candy bars with a $5 bill taped to each one. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is setting ourselves up for disaster with fighting and greediness. But we honestly never had any issues in previous years. I always used the honor system in the backyard, allowing the kids to get their own candy, and everyone was always respectful. Anyways, this particular year it was overcast, and it had gotten very dark before the kids even started trick-or-treating. I took advantage of the darkness with some of the more stealthy animatronics. Ones that moved but were hard to see because they were not lighted, like snakes, spiders, and bats. From the sidewalk, kids that were not scared or wanted to be scared would walk down a small path through grass I let grow close to knee height, which helped camouflage the strobe lights and fog machines, with a few small outdoor speakers playing creepy / scary sounds or music, to a clearing in front of our shed where we had this huge, creepy-looking wicker chair with a motion-triggered zombie that sat in it. You would have to pass in front of the zombie to get to the candy that had a sign stating, "We use the honor system. Please take 1 piece of candy." My wife and I had a system to communicate for when someone would take one of the $5 candy bars so that we could make sure no one would double dip. I would flip the floodlights on the corner of the house. Well, the first kids showed up. A boy, about 8 or 9 years old, his 4 or 5-year-old sister with their mom. It was not uncommon for kids to be accompanied by their parents if they dared to go into the backyard. Both kids took one look down the dark path and chose to go to the front yard for candy. This continued for about 10 minutes before a kid, about 13 years old, gathered up the courage to come through the backyard. Yes, I scared the crap out of him. He was a little shook and was hesitant to take candy, likely thinking something was going to jump scare him if he did. So I set down the controls and stepped out from the shadows, which scared him again as I was wearing a long black cloak and black gloves and skeleton face makeup. Poor kid, to assure him it was okay and that he could take one of the $5 candy bars. He grabbed it and ran quickly back up the path. It was probably 5 minutes before 2 more kids that looked about 12 years old came through the backyard together. They eventually made it to the candy table and each took $5 bars. This left me with 2 more to give out. The next 2 people were an obese kid who looked to be about 15, accompanied by his entitled mom. One of the first things I heard wasn't a startled scream, but a stuck-up, very shrill bitch voice. What a horrible waste of money. This is ridiculous. What she said angered me a bit, but I didn't want to ruin it for her kid, so I rushed to reset the zombie and take cover. This isn't something for kids. This is sick. I assumed it was a front to make herself not sound scared. I could see she had a death grip on her son's shoulder as they walked down the path. They both screamed as one of the bats had swooped down at them. They are triggered via stepping on a wire. The kid sounded like he was getting shook up pretty good. Entitled Mom decided to chime in again quite angrily. These people are sick. We do not need this in our neighborhood. Just plain sick. It was quiet again until her teenage son screamed, and I could hear him trying to fight back tears at this point, like a bumbling, whimpering cry. But they pressed on. I will take care of this. Just you watch. Now, I was assuming this was a parent that was trying to reassure her frightened teen. Lol. So I didn't think too much about her comment at that moment. I was too busy thinking about how to scare this bitch next. I stood behind the shed, waiting silently for the zombie to trigger. Waiting for probably a solid minute. When I realized they should have triggered it by now, I peeked around the shed to see Entitled Mom and her son waddling. Their size prevented them from being able to run towards the entrance. It only took me a second to notice they had stolen all of the candy and the 2 $5 candy bars. I was pissed. I started running after them. I got about 3 good strides in before I tripped over wires. WTF? I looked down and saw that EM had ripped out the wires on the animatronic bats. I was seething at this point. She and her son made a break for her car, which was parked in front of my next door neighbor's house. I was at full speed, but the car started and she stomped on the gas. I banged on her passenger window, where her fat son was holding the full candy bowl with a huge grin on his tear-streaked face. No, the window did not break. It just only made EM recklessly speed out of her parking spot with no regard for children that were trick-or-treating all over the neighborhood. Several parents and neighbors came up and asked me what was going on. I explained what happened. Thankfully, one of the parents had gotten the license plate number. I was ticked and explained to my wife what had happened. We decided to split the front door candy so we could at least pass them out in the backyard and allow other kids to enjoy our haunt. When I went back there to fix what EM had broken, I realized that she had cut our power cords as well. Fucking bitch. I took the candy back to my wife at the front door, knowing it would take me quite a while to fix the damage, and that our spooky backyard would likely be done for the night. About 5 minutes later, the police showed up. Thanks to a neighbor that called them. They took a description of the car and plates, while I filed a report about the incident. By the time I had finished with the police, the trick-or-treating had ended. My wife had about half a bowl of candy left, and she might have seen about 100 kids. I had only seen 3. And 2 thieves who ruined the rest of the night for others. It was a few days before the cops had located the entitled mom. She lived almost 30 miles away and brought her kid to my neighborhood because they had heard about our mini haunt. She was charged with destruction of property, vandalism, and criminal mischief. Her son was charged as a minor. The police recommended I also file a lawsuit in civil court for damages, which I gladly did. The fallout. In court, EM tried to claim that I was bringing Satanism into the community, a community she didn't even live in, and that she felt that she had to do something to stop it. They were as snide as ever in court. The judge obviously saw through that, since why would she need to fucking steal if that were the case? And EM was found guilty of destruction of property and vandalism. She got 6 months in county jail. The son, being a teenager of age, spent some time in a juvenile detention. Apparently this was his 3rd strike with the law, which was why his punishment was a bit harsh. They did not elaborate on what he did previously, obviously. As for the civil lawsuit, I won, and she was ordered to pay me $3,000 in damages. Yes, Halloween shit is expensive, plus another $6,000 in lawyer fees. We continued our haunt for 2 more years until we moved out to the rural area we live in now. We don't get trick-or-treating kids because the nearest house to ours is about a 1/4 mile away. Firstly, OP's spooky yard sounds so sick. I have always wanted to do that, but unfortunately, I've always lived in an apartment in my adulthood, and after this apartment, I plan to live on a rural acreage, so I still won't be able to do something like this. Maybe I'll hijack my sister's house or something. But anyways, man, there's always that one person that has to go and ruin it all for everyone else. I'm glad both EM and her son got their rightful punishments though, and hopefully there's still some hope left for the son to relearn his entitled ways and straighten up. I always can't help but feel a glimmer of pity for kids raised by these awful people. I mean, I feel nothing. I'm a ghost after all. No emotions here. But anyways, that is all for me today. I hope you all have a fun, scary, safe Halloween, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye! What the fuck is that? Okay, for real though, guys, the entire time I was recording that, I keep hearing something in the bathroom next to me. It's freaking me out. I don't know what it is, and I'm too scared to investigate. How ironic that this would happen while recording a Halloween special. But anyways, love you guys. Bye.